Can you hear me?
I can hear you very well.
I've never done this
Yay!
before, John.
I am so excited to have you on
Thank
here.
you. Thank you. I can hear you very, very well. I was a bit
I'm
worried. I've never done this before. Can you hear me well?
like you're in the same room as me. Just how
Okay,
I like it.
perfect.
How,
Okay, all right.
what are
How have you
those
been?
lovely silver records behind you?
Well, I'm in my office. This is all my office with all my gold discs.
Wow, you definitely don't have enough. It's,
And
it's
all the covers of the magazines I've ever been in. Where are they? There. Can you see them?
wow. Yes, I can see.
Yeah, how have you been?
I've been very well, very busy, and just very excited and honored to be talking to you right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I've just taken off my mask.
Right.
Do you want my mask
Cool.
on or off?
No, office fine. I mean, you're in your office by yourself. I'm very
Yeah.
unlikely to get COVID from you.
Okay. All right.
I want to start by just asking you. I know because I've spent some time with you, and you always inspire. Every time you open your mouth, you always say something positive, and you always say something inspiring. And you know the general thing. It doesn't have to be the general vibe of the show. And we've been talking to all sorts of different people from Sipho Hot Sticks Mabuse right down to Questa. I like to ask them what their vices are. Whether they drink, they smoke. What are the things that aren't good or that keep them going that they do? And I want to ask you that question to start with.
Well, what keeps me going is my family. That's what keeps me going. It's my family. My children, my
I've met
husband.
your family.
You have, yes, my children, my husband, and my sisters and their children. We are a very, very close knit family. That's what keeps me going. I mean, I've never thought I would go hiking. They've gotten me to do hiking with them. So every Sunday morning, it's a family affair. I hike. We hike.
Where do you hike?
At those, I don't know, somewhere in Rodiport. I don't know, somewhere. I don't know those
And
those hiking places. They know. I just sit and get driven, and it's like, okay, we've arrived. Now we have to go up the mountain, down the mountain. I'm like, yeah. But I must say, I'm really enjoying it.
do you moan the whole time, or are you a good hiker?
I want
Be
to think
honest.
I want to think I'm a good. I mean, I've only done it twice now
Yeah.
in 2020. They've been doing it since 2019, I think July. And I just said, I am not getting up. I'm not waking up to do any of this, But I love it. I must say, I really love it. I'm getting on it. I really love it. I think it's healthy because then we do it at 7 in the morning. We're done at about we do it at 7:30. 10 o'clock. We're done. Then we go and do brunch, and and it's just a nice thing.
What do you do then? And I'm going back to the question: if your family's out the house and you're home alone, you've got time to kill.
Do you want me to tell you the truth?
That's all I need from you is the truth.
I sleep.
So sleeping is your vice.
Sleeping is my greatest vice. I'm a very slow reader. I'm a very slow reader. So if I really want to sleep, I take a book and I read about 2-3 pages and I'm gone. Yeah, and I'm gone.
Amazing. I am going to show you something amazing now. And then I'm going to tell you an amazing story about it. I'm going to show you some footage of you that I guarantee you have never seen in your life. And then I'm going to tell you how I know you've never seen it before. And then I'm going to play you another clip from it.
How possible is that, John?
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to play you like 30 seconds. And then after that, I'm going to ask you if you can tell me where this concert is.
All right. Let's see that one.
Okay, here we go.
I'm ready.
Do you want peace in London?
I really can't remember where that was. It must have been in, no, I don't know, in London. I think it was in London.
And do you remember when or what it was for?
I can't remember, but I think it was in London.
Okay, it was in London in 1994. And I'm gonna.
Oh, okay. London, 1994, Islington.
That's very good. Do you remember the name of the concert?
I think it was a freedom concert. I think it was Brenda Fassie, myself at the Islington grounds.
That is it. All right. Now let me tell you the story.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the story. Oh, let me show you one more clip and then I'll tell you the story. Actually, no, let me tell you the story first.
Yes.
I've never told this story and I don't know that I should, but I'm going to.
Please do.
In 1994, I think the British, like a British production company, filmed this entire concert. It was yourself, it was Brenda Fassie, it was Hugh and Miriam, it was the Soul Brothers, it was Lucky Dube.
Lucky Dube. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was Lady Smith, it was everyone, right? They filmed it on 3 cameras, the whole thing, multiple camera.
Yeah.
Then the story goes that some lady she stole the tapes straight out of them. They'd never been rewound. They'd never been seen. She took the tapes and apparently she was having a relationship with an ANC member.
Oh.
Then something happened. There was an altercation. Now, this person took the tapes to a friend of hers and said, keep them safe because someone's trying to kill me.
Oh.
She has never been seen since, and the tapes have been locked away in a cupboard for all these years.
Since 1994.
Never even, when I got them in my hands, Yvonne, they had never even been rewound. They were still at the end of the tape, which is what cameramen do on those beta tapes when they...
Yes, the beta tapes, yes.
So I met somebody who told me this story and then told me he was the friend and that he's never opened the box. They're still sitting in his attic.
So
I took these tapes, I've digitized them, and you are the first human being's eyes to ever see any of the footage from the concert. It was called Viva South Africa.
Viva South Africa. Yes, it was.
Let me show you one more clip that I found on there.
Let's be happy because we are happy. We are free. We've got a black president. Viva Mandela, viva! I can't tell you. Viva Mandela, viva! Viva Islington, viva! Viva May Day promotion, viva! Viva Chaka Chaka, viva! We're gonna boogie now. We're gonna boogie.
I can't believe this. Well, how can I get hold of this tape? I need the tape. I need the tape, John. I need it.
Isn't that amazing?
I'm just so proud of you. You and I are gonna make money from that.
Please show me how. I mean, can I tell you what else is on there? There are backstage interviews with Brenda and Lucky and it's quite incredible. And
so
the most important thing is there is a speech that Hugh Masekela gives.
Yeah.
Which I think the world should hear. He talks about putting the nail in the coffin of apartheid, and it's like goosebumpy stuff, you know?
Oh wow, I can imagine.
Amazing.
I can imagine. And the person who owns those tapes, where is he?
So he is, let me rather tell you that off air when we're not recording. At the end, I'll tell you.
I'm actually sweating. I'm sweating seeing that. And I must say, I've got a couple of friends that I since met then. In fact, Advocate Muhammad was part of that Islington.
Right.
Mohammed Randera.
You're
They
right.
organized all of that with the South African human rights and the people in Islington for that 1994 concert. Yeah.
Your memory is stellar.
Amazing.
Uh-huh. Can you tell me?
Wow.
I know I have heard you, but I'm asking now if you can tell me a little bit about growing up in Soweto. And I've, I know it's a story you've told many times, but it's never old for me. And I also think that your story needs to be heard by a whole new generation of people because you're still doing amazing stuff.
Growing up in Soweto for me was just one of those best things. I can never be upset or regret. And if I have to do it again, I would want to live in Soweto and grow up there because the challenges that we went through, they made me grow, they made me think, they gave me the sense of belonging and the sense of Ubuntu. What was nice was that the mother next door was your mother. The father next door was your father. The uncle next door was your uncle. So we were a very close-knit family in Soweto. You knew people who lived 5 houses away from you, 2 blocks away, because we were protecting one another. Remember, because it was during apartheid. Homes where there were boys and homes where there were girls, we need to make sure that when the boys were going, obviously, to attack the cars, which belong to the white people, they will come and hide the milk, the food, the bread at the homes where there were only girls, because we as girls wouldn't do it. So obviously, because of apartheid and everything, we made everything ungovernable because we were
When you
fighting
say attack
for
the
our
cars,
rights.
what do you mean attack the cars? Is this when kids were throwing stones at tanks and stuff?
Yeah. Throwing stones at tanks, throwing stones at the bread trucks, the milk trucks, anything that had come to the township to deliver, because obviously we were rioting, we were fighting. So I know it was not the right thing, but we're trying to prove a point out here, because we'd been made absolutely non-entities. But what was nice was that my mother would give me tomatoes and onions and say, just go across the road to Thelma's house or to Beauty's house, give them these, ask them to give you bread or meal or bread and butter and jam. So we buttered with food, and there was absolutely no shame in that. That's how we lived, and that's how we grew up. You would go to the neighbors with a packet of tomatoes and say, Mom says I should give you this. We don't have onions at home, or we don't have cabbage or meal. And that's how we all lived. There was absolutely no shame in sharing, in giving each other food. And that's what I miss today. Freedom came. People then decided to mind their own business. People decided to live in high fences. You don't even know who your neighbor is. Even if something happens, you wouldn't know. But living in the township, the disadvantage that was there was that we were shoved and put in those townships by the regime, the then regime. But we're a close-knit family. We looked out for one another. We were there for each other. We protected one another, and that was amazing.
I mean, and today, we've just, gutted about the passing of Jonas Gwangwa. Our legends list is getting very short at the moment. COVID is not helping. Are you involved in politics at all, or in the country stuff, or not at all? No, just.
I really do mind my business. I do answer questions when I'm asked questions. I do have opinions in other things, and I think what. Even if you don't live, even if you're not a politician, but we live in a situation where everything is politicized. I just get very upset when people start becoming personal and when people start becoming racist. It wakes me up, because people are allowed to have their own opinion, and people are allowed to engage. It is important that we do engage, but don't be personal. Don't be racist in any engagement, because people have different thoughts, and we all come from different thoughts of living, and thinking. So people may have different opinions than yours. That doesn't make them stupid, and that it doesn't give anybody a right to say, because you are black, think like a fool. Black people cannot do anything. That's the only thing. But I think it is important. Engaging is healthy, debating is healthy, and it should be done, and it should be encouraged.
So what is your view on modern day, I guess, politics and social media? Because in a way, they're closely combined.
Well, I think really, somebody was asking me about social media and things like that. I'm not very big on social media. I do engage now and then, but I think people are able to air their views, and people are able to disseminate information through social media. Sometimes some of it is conspiracy theories. Sometimes it's people just distorting information. That's how it should
everything.
be.
It's
Exactly.
everything.
It's everything, and people then will have to interrogate that and engage. I think it is healthy, and politics really. I don't understand politics, as I said. I don't understand politics. All I know is that we do have good leaders, and some of them may not be maybe very good, but I always think when leaders say people should govern, it is important that people should govern, because there's no leader without followers, and there are no followers without leaders. So we need to be guided, by people who understand policy and those regulations. Every country has its constitution, and I think South African constitution is one of the best constitutions. And so I think South Africans have endured a lot. We've come from far, and there's still other people who really think they are better than others, which really bugs me sometimes, because you know what? We are all born with nothing, and when we die with absolutely nothing. So no one is better than anybody. But sometimes I get very upset when people still don't have roofs over their heads, when the services, other people still don't have those services that are so much needed, sanitation, water, decent schooling, decent housing, and things like that. So I would just urge our people, even those that that have, it's important to share, because remember, we're born with nothing, and when we die, we take absolutely nothing. So I don't think there's any need for greed.
Are you sure you're not in politics? You should be.
No, I don't think I'll make a very good politician. I don't think I will.
You've worked with all these, your list of work people is crazy. From, I don't know, I know that you've mentioned Michael Jackson even in that list. What did you do an ad with him? It was Tina Turner.
I've never performed with him like in a concert, but I was asked to come to London, and I went to Nigeria to shoot an ad, Choice of the New Generation. Right. So whoever, like John, whoever put those together, it was Tina Turner, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, who's the guy, simply irresistible. And it was a great Pepsi ad for that matter, and yeah, that was just amazing. That was just amazing.
And others, Stevie Wonder, is that a name that you've spouted?
I've had dinner 3 times with Stevie Wonder at Sun City.
No way.
Thanks to Jerry Enzarello, who was managing Sun City at the time. I've had dinner twice with Michael Jackson at Sun City. What? It was he was so shy, and I performed in New York with Aretha Franklin and Stevie Wonder and all other artists, Angelique Kidjo, and I cannot ask for anything more. I really think I'm blessed, and I'm grateful to those who've given me the platform, those who've given themselves time and gave me time, to put those bums on those seats to come and listen to me, and just gave me a chance to be able to entertain them. I'm just so grateful, and I never take anything for granted.
You're a true icon. Can you tell me a little bit about, and this is really for me, you're in that very small inner circle of, like, Jonas Gwangwa, Hugh Masekela, Miriam Makeba, Kaifa Semenya, Leto Mbulu. You guys are like in that little bubble. What is that little family like? Have you working together? You had such crazy paths that crossed each other all the time. You come through so much, and there's not a lot of the A team left anymore, which is really sad.
It is really, really sad, John, but I'm just so grateful that those people opened the doors for us when it wasn't easy. They worked very hard. And for me, these are real superstars. I mean, from Miriam Makeba, you cannot compare her to anybody. Even you can't compare me to Miriam Makeba. Kaifa Semenya, these people worked with the likes of Quincy Jones. Yeah, Quincy Jones and
Harry Belafonte.
Harry Belafonte. So these are real stars. Yet they were so humble. For me, I was just so grateful that I'm basking in their bubble, to be acknowledged by them, and to be surrounded by such greatness. It's taught me humbleness, because people like Miriam Makeba, I mean, I met Miriam Makeba for the very first time in 1987. It was my first trip overseas. I was with Sharon, who was at a Gallo at that time, and I'd never traveled overseas. And I got bought this ticket because I wanted to travel overseas. So I thought I'd do America first, and then I'll come back and do Europe, and then I'll come back to South Africa. And Jonathan Butler was performing in Washington, D.C. And I just saw the posters, and I went to every hotel to go and look for Jonathan Butler. Eventually, I didn't find him at the time. I was told he stayed in this hotel. They must have thought I was mad. And I left a note. I said, my name is Yvonne Chaka Chaka from South Africa, and I'd love to come to the concert in 2 days' time. And guess what? He was a curtain raiser for Whitney Houston. And that's when I met Whitney for the very first time in Washington, D.C. It was just amazing. And it was so sad, because the people who entertained me, it was Dallas's father. I mean, I've got pictures of Dallas when he was in his nappies in Washington.
I remember him when he was in nappies.
Because that's where he was born. He was born in Washington. And, his father and his mother were just amazing people. It was a group of South Africans who were excited to see other South Africans. And Leslie Mampe, who's Dallas's father, and his wife, and a group of people who were at school entertained us. And it was just amazing. It was amazing.
Tell me about that meeting with Whitney Houston when you met her.
No, it was very short. I must say, it was very short. It was just after the concert, and it was very short. But I was so proud of Jonathan Butler as a South African artist, cool. and just performing in Washington. And I thought, it is possible. It is possible, and I was very proud of him. I mean, he's still one of my favorite artists.
They used to call James Brown the hardest working man in show business. Sometimes I think about that with you, because you're always rehearsing, still making music, still at the top of your game, always engaged, arrive anywhere, ask you for an interview, 3:00, there you are, gold records, going on to the next thing. You have so much energy. It's really incredible. Where are you musically? How have you handled lockdown? Like, where is your head at the moment?
Lockdown has been a mess. Lockdown has not been easy. It hasn't made it easy for the artists. I mean, for the whole creative industry, it's been very sad. I mean, I've been having phone calls from different artists. Their homes are being repossessed. Their cars are being repossessed. People do not have money. I mean, our livelihood is music. It's performing. It's being on stage. It's being in the studio. I'm actually very, very, happy that I was given a chance to do the Backing Vocalists and Session Musicians Awards, and the 2021, the 2020 awards, where I managed to give artists 25,000 rands each, and just to honor them and open an endowment for them. I mean, just a few days ago, Sis Ndlozi from Joy passed on. So
Yes.
I'm able to say to 24/7, which is the 27/4, which is the company that is doing the endowment for us, this artist is passed on, and can we then give the money to the family? So I'm grateful to God that I'm able to do that. I can't be there for everybody, but the few that I'm able to help and honor, So so we'll be giving this check to Sis Ndlozi's children, but it hasn't been easy. People are not used to streaming. It doesn't work that well. So I'm trying to talk to different people to say, can we bring artists together? And I'm very happy that AMP Studios did a wonderful job with young and old artists. So I think we need to do that again, John. Get artists to come to AMP Studios, perform, but this time we ask people, this is the project I'm trying to do. We ask people to buy tickets, and we get a channel and people watch in their comfort of their home, and some money goes to artists, because artists don't want to be paupers, and artists they want to work for their money. And so if their talent is being suppressed and they're not able to perform, I hope somebody could come to the party, and I want to realize that we could do this and package it properly and then put it in a channel. And if somebody wants to watch John, you buy your ticket. If somebody wants to watch Yvonne or Nera,
I'm happy to, if this is something during lockdown, we changed AMPed into basically a live streaming destination so that we could do that. And we've just had it as a free-for-all for guys to come and do stuff. If you wanted to do something like that, you could use those resources. And we've got cameras, we've got internet, we've got instruments. It would be an easy thing to do. We've got all the ability to do ticketing. So if that's something you want to do, we'll happily completely support that.
I'd really love that, because, artists work for their money. They don't want hand to mouth. And so if things are shut down for them, they're not able, to perform, they're not able to feed their families, it's a mess. So I'm really urging people to support the creative industry, even with actors, but entertainment, people are not going to the theaters, people are not able to watch concerts. So it's a big, big, big challenge. And streaming, because of data as well, it's cumbersome. People are not able to stream and watch the concerts. So we need to find innovative ways to make sure that people don't lose touch, and the musicians don't lose their touch as well, but they perform and people watch as if they're watching a concert. So you can flip, and watch Yvonne, watch Lyra, watch, a gospel and things like that. So I'm really, really urging people who want to help to come to the party. Get in touch with me, get in touch with you, John. Let's revive the music industry. Let's revive the creative arts, because artists are not lazy people. It's just that the circumstances do not allow them to be able to do what they want, what they do best, perform and earn a salary. So let's find innovative ways for them to earn a salary, and they shouldn't die paupers.
Get on for that. What have you been occupying your time now for with lockdown? Have you been making music, or have you just been stressing, or have you been making pottery?
Stress is not something that works well with me. I never stress myself. I do get stressed and I do get agitated, but you know what? I tell myself, I'm happy with what I can do now. The things that I cannot change, there's nothing I can't do, So what I do, I've just started Woman Radio. It's a radio station for women.
Amazing. Where? How?
It's online. It's called Woman Radio. So I've got Nomsa Mazwai as one of the anchors. Cool. I've got Dr. Sia. I've got Luyanda. I've got somebody in Hawaii, Miss Matadia Rice, and I've been getting calls from people from Kenya, from Tanzania, who want to be part of this. I mean, it's just been amazing. So we talk about issues about women. I think it's important that we as women be empowered to be able to get men to be our advocates. You know, we're never going to bash men because we need each other, women and men. But I think when women are able to air their views and just converse about not only problems, you know, problems always need solutions. But if we as women have problems, I mean, we've got from women with albinism, women with disability, we've got Masingita, you know, we've got women in construction, we've got domestic workers on the radio station, we've got women in business, we've got doctors. So it's women of different sectors just chatting about their lives. So we can learn from one another. So Woman Radio has been keeping me very, very busy.
That is cool. I want to ask you a question, and I'm poking a hole in it. I'm poking a hole in your idea is all. I love that idea, and I think it's amazing that you're doing that. But don't you think that calling it woman radio, if you want to get the men, you know, in there, don't you think that excludes? Then it's women speaking to women in an echo chamber. Why shouldn't it be a woman-centric station, but that is open for everyone?
No, definitely. Everything. It's a station for women, by women, with women. We do get men calling, and I love it.
Oh, cool.
We do get men calling. It's not that we don't want men to call. We do have men calling and asking different questions, but everything, I mean, from the sound engineer to the compiler to a presenter, it's all women. It's
Incredible.
just empowering women. There are no jobs for boys now. So the young women who are in our office as compilers and doing all the work, it's for me to say to a woman, tickle the bull by the horn. So we do get men listening, and it's very funny. We've had lots of men calling the station. It's been amazing.
Tell me one of the calls that you've had that you remember.
I had a guy called Maboko calling on Gabby's show. Gabby does a program called Truth Matters. And she talks about religion, you know, and all sorts of things. And the guy was saying, I'm loving the program. And we actually even asked men to send voice notes to say, hi, my name is John, and I'm listening to Woman Radio.
Okay,
so
cool.
it's been amazing. So for me,
Incredible.
it's not anything bad or saying we are ostracizing men. No. But I want to say to women, you know, and radio stations have been owned by men, by the way, most of them. And most of the disc jocks have been men. So why don't give women a platform to be able to do what they love best and do it to the best of their ability? So Woman Radio is doing just that, and not only for South Africa, for the whole world.
I'm tuning in. Are you a jock on Women Radio?
Yes, I am. I do Thursdays. It's called Couch Chat with Yvonne. So we just chat. You see, Woman Radio doesn't do interviews. It's chats like this. It's chats. You know, tell me, how have you climbed the ladder? How do I do better to be able to be like you? I mean, in the next week, I'll be interviewing the boss of Norton Rose. She's a woman.
Cool.
And I think she's in Canada. Well, not interviewing, but chatting with her. So I'm really looking forward to that. I mean, the other day I was talking to a lady, Matabo Kunene. She was just talking about food. Why should people go to bed, hungry when we've got little plots in your yard or whatever? So encourage people to plant in their yards so that you don't you can't say you don't have food. So if people are giving seeds, and there's lots of those who would give seeds, you could plant some millies there, you could plant spinach, and you can eat from the backyard, from your own backyard. So we need to be encouraging people to having organic food instead of standing at the corner and pleading. But some of those people, they're pleading because they've got absolutely nowhere to go, and we shouldn't overlook them. If you've got something, do give them. But if you can help them and say, if I take you to my house, do garden, do my washing, is that better? Because nobody wants to stand by the corner. It's embarrassing. But if you give somebody something to do and they work for their money, that gives them some kind of dignity.
Do you play music on your shows at all?
Yes, a lot. A lot. And I must say, I do comply. I've got a license with Capasso.
Good. That was my next question, because I've got the guys from Capasso asking.
Absolutely. I've got my contract. Where's my contract? I've got my contract with Capasso because I have to be compliant. I can't be a musician and not comply.
And I'll be honest, I have a radio station too, and it's not easy. The licensing part is not as simple as it seems. They make it really hard for you.
Well, they do. But this morning I was shouting at them. I said to them, you see, there's my license.
Yes. You one step. It's very hard to get them to actually give the license. I pay the money. I still don't get the license.
Well, I have not paid them. Here's the contract. I've signed it. I said they must sign it. Then I will pay that amount to them. Obviously, they will then check how many people we have, our ARs and everything. And but I'm on top of my game. I'm on top of the game.
Why am I not surprised?
So we really try hard.
What music do you play? Like, who do you think is cool and hip?
We play everyone.
You play everyone?
We play everyone, but only women. We only play women's music.
So even a women's playlist, that's phenomenal. That's cool.
The playlist is women, but I'm talking to my team to say maybe on Saturdays or Sunday, because remember, we've just started mid-October. Maybe on Saturdays or Sundays, we'll play men who sympathize with women, men who don't bash women, because gender-based violence is a big problem in South Africa, and it's a real thing. So we want to say to those men who appreciate and sympathize men, we will play their music because we want to promote everybody. So I'm talking to my team to say probably on a Saturday or a Sunday, we will play that kind of music. But from the 20th of October, when we started, our playlist is only women, nothing else.
Can you give me some names of some of your faves?
Some of them, I must say, so my compilers are young. Some of the songs, I was hearing them for the first time. There's a song that keeps ringing in my head. Da-da-da-dee-dee. Oh, get up. Those are the new songs. And, Amifaku, we play.
Oh, I love Amifaku, yeah.
And it's just been amazing. The list, the compilation has been amazing. There's young artists that I don't even know. We play from artists from Uganda. There's one beautiful artist called, I think it's Julian. She's from Uganda. She plays such beautiful music. Mingash from Mozambique, we play. So my compilers, I must say, they're very good. Big up to them.
So cool. And what's your big vision? Is this something you started out of passion? Is there a business model? Like, what's the plan here for the world domination for women radio?
Well, I've had this concept to do women radio from 2016.
Right.
And it was very difficult to get a license from who are the licensing people in South Africa?
Sampra.
No, for radio station. Who are they?
There's four licenses. There's Capasso, Sampra, Samro.
Not music.
Oh, not music. Sorry.
For a radio station. There's
the licensing body.
There's community radio station. There's commercial radio stations. So to get a license was just so challenging because I think they've got times or seasons where they would give a number of commercial stations or a number of community radio stations. So I thought, ICASA. It's a mission to get a license from ICASA. So I sort of thought, let me dump it. So I left it. And I spoke to the Minister of of Communications, Minister Stella Ndabeni, to say, this is my vision. I would really want to have a radio stations because I'm actually even looking for young people, 15-year-olds, 16 young people to tell their stories. Have you got
I've got
somebody
to tell
for
you
me?
something. I'm going to tell
Yeah.
you something amazing, right? When I started my radio station in 2015 or 2016,
Yeah.
I found this young girl who was 13 turning 14. Her name
Yeah.
was Lau.
Wow.
She was still at school, and she really wanted to be on radio. And I had a lot of,
Yeah.
so I had lots of big, well-known DJs. I auditioned her, and I went, this woman is going to be the future of radio. She did 2 years on the iRadio, and I still believe she's just, I think she's 17 now, 16, 17. She's a superstar of radio waiting to happen. And the eye isn't really functioning anymore. I couldn't get it after many years. We couldn't really commercialize it. It was, again, it was just about making radio that I was really passionate about. It didn't really have a thing. But I want to find a home for this person because she is a global superstar in radio waiting to happen. And I would love to introduce you to her. I'll even send you some links to the show she did. I gave her a little TV show as well, another TV show. Like I just filmed her for Facebook. And I'd bring in big stars, and she would sit with them and eat them for breakfast. They didn't stand a chance.
Wow. So
I've
bring
got a
Lau
great
our
DJ
way.
for you.
Bring Lau our way. You know,
I am
obviously,
going to introduce you to Lau, definitely.
I'd love that. I mean, it's quite difficult. We're looking for sponsorships. And I'm just so grateful to everybody who's been calling me to be part of this radio stations. It's a vision that we have together. And in the long run, I'm just thinking that the people who started with me, I want to make them shareholders. But for now, we're trying to get more people listening, you know.
It's hard, eh?
It's
hard.
very hard. I mean, data is not easy. But I mean, I
That's
was
the
looking.
secret. You must partner with the data, with one of the small data companies that are doing data in the community areas. You make them your radio partner, because if you can get the data access sorted, your radio station will be the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're really, really trying. But it's just been amazing. I mean, the reception has been phenomenal.
Phenomenal. I'm very proud of you. And again, you always blow my mind with it every time you open your mouth.
Thank you very much, John.
Going back again, this is quite all over the place, but you know, the superstar himself, Madiba, I know you had a relationship with him. You know, I mean, can you tell me any of your memories meeting him, spending time with him?
You know, my very first memory of Madiba, I was lying in that hospital. My son was born, one of my sons, I've got 4 boys. One of them was born on the 10th of February, 1990. And Madiba was released on the 11th of February, 1990. And I lay in hospital and I watched this man walking hand in hand with Winnie Mandela, and thousands of people just surrounding this man. I must say, I was a bit scared for him lying in that hospital bed, you know. But I must say that I think the whole of South Africa was very excited. We all prayed when we saw that man walking down Victor Verster prison, holding hands with Cyril Ramaphosa, who's our president today, holding that umbrella, you know, and different people out there. And I my heart was just pumping, you know, saying, wow, it's finally happened. I am finally calling South Africa home, because here's Madiba, here's Oliver Tambo, here's Ntate Sisulu, here's Ntate Motsoaledi, here is, I mean, all the people who fought so hard for us. Okay, people like Helen Joseph, you know, who died in exile. Charlotte Maxeke, you know, who was one of the first Black women, I think, to go to university or to have a degree. And you look and you say, we've come a long way. And it's actually sad that one color skin, you know, the color of your skin can really deprive you from being whatever you want to be, from having education, from staying or living wherever you want to. from doing anything that you want to do to make yourself a better person. Because of the color of your skin, you just were treated badly. But I am grateful to all those people who fought for South Africa, from Joe Slovo to Motsoaledi to Charlotte Maxeke, and made South Africa a home for all of us. So when I met Madiba for the very first time, I think it was at a fundraising concert at the Carlton Center, and all the fathers of the Rainbow Nation was there. Just being in that room with them, I must say, I don't know how I cracked it, but I was there, and it was amazing. And after that, I got calls from Madiba. He came to visit my home several times, and I've had dinner several times. And on my 40th birthday, you know, I went and had lunch with him, with my staff and people that I worked with. I'm just so grateful, you know, knowing Oliver Tambo for the very short time was
You
just
knew Oliver
amazing.
Tambo too.
Well, my youngest son, he named him. His name is Mandela Oliver Minga.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So I can never want to change my life, difficult as it was, but I think God, you know, planned it that way, that it will be very difficult, but I will never forsake you. I will walk with you and things will be good. That's why I must say, I always say to people, I never take anything for granted. And I'm always grateful for the life that I have, because it's not out of my making. It's out of somebody out there, the higher spirit or the higher ground, that gives me the opportunity to do all the things that I do.
You know, you had to sort of go through a lot to get to build the life that you have had. Can you tell me, if at all, if there was something that you consider, or a memory, even if it from when you were young, that was possibly the biggest obstacle or the thing that made you the person that you are, something you had to overcome, something you had to get it? Because you're always so positive. You seem to just roll through the punches and just keep on navigating. Was there something in your life that made you into that, or made you decide, right, my only way forward is to do this, or something that you had to really figure out to go forward?
You know, John, when my dad died, I was 11. I've got two elder sisters, Refilwe and Doreen, and it was very sad. The white government took the house from my mum because she was a black single woman. And guess where we ended up? In the Murdham's backyard. And we would go past our home, and we knew that was our home. But because she was a single black woman at that time, I think my mother was 40 when my dad died. And it was very, very sad. But the woman my mother worked for, Pat, she was Pat Minot, and she became Pat Ferry. We're still in touch. You know, she's still alive.
Cool.
She fought tooth and nail, you know, for my mom to get back the house. So it was very sad to leave Roodepoort in Florida, where we stayed, where my mother worked, and commute at like 6 o'clock in that green Patco, you know, to go to Soweto. I remember several times asking Pat, why can't I go to St. Catherine's just across the road with Louise and Vivian? And you are 11-year-old, you know, you're told the system doesn't allow that. You're just a child. You don't understand. Yes, I'm black, but you know what? I'm a person. I'm a human being, you know. And the guy next door hated us. It was Mr. Venter. He really hated us. He would go on top of something. I mean, we had a long hedge, quite high. And he would literally go up there, you know, and call us K words and tell us, skit. And we would have to run, you know, from the yard and go into the room. And remember those rooms which were built for domestic workers? They were this tiny, you know. So obviously it fitted a single bed for my mom. And we will have to sleep on the floor and even under the bed for all of us to fit in. So I look at all those things and say, we've come a long way, you know, just because of the color of our skin. And it is important that we reconcile. There's a lot that we still have to talk about. South Africans, particularly Black South Africans, have forgiven, have moved on, have done a lot to say we can live together. And I still think sometimes our other counterparts, still take us for granted. I mean, even sometimes when you go to the shops, you can hear remarks and things like that. And I think it's really, really unfair. We are all human beings. We've come here on earth with nothing, and we're going to die with nothing. I keep saying that over and over again. And we have to learn from one another. We have to educate each other by, about our different cultures, about what we like, and learn from one another. And I think once we understand that we are all human beings, some of us are darker than others, and others are lighter than others, some are short, and so we are like flowers in the gardens. Once we realize that we're like flower in a garden, some are green, some are roses, some are, you call them different names. That's what we are. And it is important that we all live together, tolerate one another, and respect one another.
If you take yourself back to, you said that you were 11 years old, you didn't understand the situation. This was weird. When did you actually figure it out and get angry or come up, like figure out this is what you were going to do with your life? You were going to sing and make music.
No, well, I never thought I would be a musician. As I said, growing up in the township, growing up in the Madden's backyard, I've got 3 dog bites, in my body. Every time we commuted from Soweto, from Dobsonville to Florida, we'll have these young boys opening for their dogs, and the dogs will chase us, will bite us. We've had these young white people having caterpillars. When we went past, they would hit us. You'd just hear a rock hitting your head. You would never report it anywhere because you also had to have a permit to be in town, by the way. So things were not good for us, really. It was very, very, very sad. But, as I grew up and I opened my horizon, and my mother, with the little education that she had, she always insisted to my 2 sisters and I that the only thing that will take you out of your misery is when you have education. You don't need to be like me, a domestic worker. I will work very hard. I was telling somebody the other day, I said my mother augmented her salary by playing Fafi to make sure that we had food, we had clothes, and we were going to school. We've never slept without food. She tried so hard. And the only thing she said was that I can take you up to matric, go and find work, but make sure that you either have a diploma or degrees, but have some education, because nobody will ever take you for granted and no one will ever take that away from you. So she always insisted that we be better people, we have education and shouldn't be at anyone's mercy. And I look back today and I say, thank you for instilling that, to all the 3 girls, because she could have given up, John, and said, it's tough, it's difficult, I cannot give you everything, go and fend for yourselves. She never did. She guarded us. She encouraged us to be better people. And I am just so grateful to her. And I always say to her, my mom was a good ancestor when she was alive.
That's sweet. And then I'm going to let you go shortly. So I just want to understand that last thing is that the defining moment when you realized that music was your thing, was it when, Burning Up was coming out? Was it before? Like, how did you get to a moment where you're like, okay, this is what I'm doing with my life?
I was very, very lucky because I think at the age of 13 or 14, the lady I used to go to church with worked with a guy called Bernard Joffe. Wherever he is, I need to honor that guy. Bernard Joffe, I think, should be given an award. He was almost the first person to do a reality show. Bernard Joffe came out to Soweto, looked for children who could sing, who could read, who could play instruments, who could dance. and who had talent. And he did that talent search in 1981.
That
I
is
was
way
what?
ahead of his time.
It was amazing.
Wow.
And he categorized us, so there were those who could play instruments. I mean, I never had an instrument because I came from a very poor family. So there was a group of young people singing, myself, Vuvu, Sarah, and there were other people. In fact, one of the guys from the Soweto string quartets, he was playing a violin. We did not know what that was, and other people were reading and others were dancing. And when he packaged everything, I was the first one there and I won 500 rands. So Bernard Joffe, he was amazing. So he had 2 seasons. I can't remember which was the first one, whether it was Sugar Shack or it was Abangobi, but it was 2 seasons of that. And he paid us, $500 for a township child. That was amazing. That man, I have so much respect for him and I'm looking for him. I met him, by the way, in 1987 on my very first trip in LA.
That's how did he get to LA?
I have no idea.
Bernard Joffe, is that his name?
Bernard Joffe. Please, if you guys are on Facebook and you know how it works, please find Bernard Joffe. And I have so much respect for that guy. He did so much for children in the townships.
Was he South African?
I think he was South African. I think he was British. I'm not sure whether he was South African, but he was a young man at that time. Bernard Joffe. He was amazing. He was a TV guy. There was nothing on television, by the way, at the time. Remember, TV in South Africa started in 1986, and that was 1976, and it was TV1 for white people. And when Black TV, TV2 started, it was between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and it was just cartoons and nothing else. Right. No advertising, nothing. And it was just those cartoons. But Bernard Joffe came with those programs. The man was amazing, and he should be honored. He should be honored.
I think I've got. Can I show you a picture? I might have. Tell me if this is him. I found a Bernard Joffe.
Okay, let me see.
Give me a second. I've got to figure out how to quickly do a screen share here. Share screen. Application window. Where is it now? Chrome tab. Bernard Joffe. Okay, tell me if this is him. Can you see that?
I can. I want a consultant. Doesn't talk about television.
I'm trying to zoom in on him. It says he's looks like he could be in the age group. Corporate and commercial law, mergers, acquisitions. No, I don't know. It's the only Bernard Joffe that came up as well.
I think that one was, he was in the arts. He was a television man. That one was, he was a television man. I'm not sure if he was slightly old. Probably he was really older than me because in 1981, how old was I? 14, 14. Yeah. And he was amazing. Really, really amazing. In fact, he's the one who told me about Lebo M in LA in 1987.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know where the guy is. I really, really have respect for him. But I must say that, when I completed my matric and I was ready to go to university, my mother wanted me to go and study law, and I wanted to be a chartered accountant. Having 3 books as a school girl, you had your cash book, your ledger and your journal, and you had these 3 books. And I thought, I had people talk about a chartered accountant, but because mom did not have the money, and there I bumped into somebody. Cut the long story short, I met Phil Hollis, and Phil Hollis.
Right? I've heard you speak about him before.
Hollis put every cent in Yvonne, and I am what I am today. And I want to say thank you to Phil Hollis because he was there for me. He unleashed that potential and he gave me hope. And that's why today I'm here and I'm grateful to him. When
I am as well.
When all other people said, we don't like your singing, maybe sing gospel. But Phil Hollis gave me the chance from I'm in love with the DJ. Thank you, Mr. DJ. I'm burning up Motherland, Umqombothi.
He was your Simon Cowell.
He was amazing. And Ati van
Amazing.
Wyk, by the way, he wrote all my music, and Herbert Xulu, and later on, Chico wrote most of my music. And I ended up working with my son, Temba.
That was my last question. Which is your favorite kid? Jokes.
I love all my children. You know,
yeah,
God
you have to
doesn't,
say that.
God
Just
doesn't
wink,
have,
though.
God doesn't have stepchildren, so he loves us all.
Yvonne, thank you so much for your time. It really, I love speaking to you. I'd love to do this every week, actually. Good luck with Women Radio. I'm going to keep an eye on that. And I
Thank
love
you.
that you just still are always inspiring to talk to. I just love spending any time with you. You always bring so much just fire. You just fire. Bruce Lee talks about emotional content. You always bring you bring it every time. I love it.
Thank you very much, John. I really appreciate you and all the work that you've done with AMP Studios, just giving those young and old people a chance and learning from one another. You've done an amazing job, and I'm grateful to you for doing that, because you could have sat there and mind your own business, but you didn't. Yeah, thank you. Don't forget to get me Lau's details. Okay.
Take care.
Thank
Lots
you
of love
very
to
much for
you.
having me.
Thanks for being on.
You're welcome. Thank you.